there certainly is a more manageable situation, because me getting overwhelmed and um, a little bit over neurotic about it isn't going to solve it. It's just going to make me feel more anxious. So we do want to step outside ourselves and look in, even write it down, and 20 minutes later, look to see how you're going to solve that problem. So all of this does take time. It's not going to happen overnight because you've been going through similar patterns. So now one situation, if it sparks this emotion that is negative, you want to step back and say, okay, I took this class and I want to see if I step outside myself for a minute and look in, what am I really angry at? Emotion management directly influences communication. If you can't manage your emotions, you can't communicate competently. That's a strong statement. But displaying our emotions of negativity, again, is going to affect the other person. And then that other person is going to, as the cliche, walk on eggshells, is going to be very, very tempered in how they're going to say something to you. So this is why it's saying that we can't communicate competently if people resist talking to you because of the uncomfort they feel. Just think about if you're not a morning person and somebody says, good morning, that beautiful obeisance, that doesn't deserve that. So I can't communicate with you competently if you've already shut me down. So two terms that we need to talk about are suppression and venting, which we mentioned before. We're going to start with venting, allowing emotions to dominate our thoughts and explosively expressing them. And you're very used to this. You do this. You vent, whether online, whether in person, and it's one way, it's linear. You really don't care who's reading it. You just have to get it out of your head. You feel that, again, it's a releasing, it's emotion sharing, but you're not sharing. It's only linear. If people respond back to you, then it's emotion sharing. But then that may also fester more negative thoughts if they're saying something that doesn't agree with what you want them to say. Suppression, inhibiting thoughts, arousals, and outward behavioral displays of emotion. So suppression may sound negative to you right now because it doesn't say hide away and don't open, but it does say allow me time to observe my behavior, and maybe I can suppress the negative display outward and deal with the real problem. Everybody doesn't have to know I had a bad morning. You're not communicating competently because a good communicator, people should think of you in a delightful manner, not a negative manner. 4 strategies for preventing emotion. And I just want to see if your PowerPoints go over these. Encounter avoidance. So I'm going to take you to the page number for encounter avoidance. And you can probably figure out what that means, because again, this is not rocket science. So on page 105, the first of which is encounter avoidance, straying or staying away from people, places, or activities that you know will provoke emotions that you don't want to experience. If you can, not always. So some of us may not, I don't like crowds. So I'm going to avoid crowds. You may not care for a particular person that you went to high school with. So you may stay away from a high school reunion. Encounter structuring. The second preventive strategy is encounter structuring, intentionally avoiding special topics that you know will provoke unwanted emotion during encounters with others. So there's that famous saying, don't talk about politics or religion. Well, Again, it depends on the people in the context. In academic situations, as long as there's evidence supporting your opinion, you can share information. So here we pretty much stay away from topics. And then if we come in conflict with something, there's that cliche that says, we'll agree to disagree. And that kind of gets us out. That's why we have euphemisms like that. So we may structure conversation differently depending on the people. So I know some of my friends, they were against the COVID vaccine. So I stayed away from conversing about the COVID vaccine, whereas my cousin who works for the CDC didn't stay away from it because wants to persuade everyone to become vaccinated. So I would structure to change the subject. Attention focus. Intentionally devoting your attention only to aspects of an event or an encounter that you know will not provoke undesired emotion. So talking about, that's where the old cliche comes. You could always talk about weather and, just current events that don't involve politics. And deactivation. Systematically desensitizing yourself to emotional experience. Don't know if that's healthy, but it can. So if I know that I'm going to someone's house and I know there's going to be a political conversation, I know I'm not going to get overstimulated by something somebody says because I tell myself that. I deactivate before I even get there. Yeah, good point. Yeah, great point. And that's how you get through those. Love this, my favorite, reappraisal, bottom of page 105. Actively changing how you think about situations so their emotional impact is changed. So you reappraise the situation. You see it from a different perspective. So you may have had an argument with your friend. So now you look on their perspective. You don't say agree with them. You just reappraise it. Can you understand their point of view? No, we're not saying to accept it. We're saying, can you even understand it? If you can understand it, then you reappraise the situation. Excellent skill. I do it all the time. Okay, so we have 4 challenges frequently that occur in our daily life: anger, online communication, and passion and grief. Anger. We love to display our anger. We love to show other people we're angry, we're dissatisfied. And it's usually driven by perception that you have been improperly, unfairly blocked or from reaching a certain goal. So that's your bottom line. So you're not angry that you got a 60 on your test. You're angry because this 60 prevents you from taking the second exam because you have to, maybe 60 is failing and you need a 65. So that's really the problem. It's, your plan. You've devised this plan and then something didn't quite go according to the gears. They didn't match up. And that's truly why you're angry. And then sometimes we have a long-lasting anger, which is called chronic hostility. So it's a near constant state of arousal, negativity resulting from suppression. So if you tend to suppress or avoid too much, it can build up into always feeling hostile, always looking at the negative rather than the positive. So many feel that venting gets the anger out, and your book, and I agree with your book, states otherwise because it leads to catharsis, which is constant negativity. So if you feel like you're venting, you're really not, because you're talking about the same thing over and over. It's like saying, singing the same song over and over, repeat, 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 and it plays over and over in this loop in your mind. So even though you feel venting gets the anger out, it really does build the anger. The best is emotion sharing. So you can have some reciprocation and for someone listening to you. The Jefferson strategy, if you do not know, is counting from 1 to 10. So again, these are little things that we do to allow us to step outside, look at the situation, observe the behavior. So counting until 1 to 10 may need a little bit longer, but you need to realize, what am I really angry about? Rather than, just this just happened and it just sucks. Uh, so what is the problem that I have to solve? Because you already took the test and you didn't pass. So what is the problem that has to be solved? So when communicating online, and most of you know more of this than I do, sometimes even in a text, you send a text, you may not get those 3 little dots right away. The lack of feedback tends to actually get us more aggravated. Are less likely to perspective take. If you're less likely to take the other person's understanding of why they're saying what they're saying. Whereas if you have a conversation in your kitchen and you say, I want to major in acting, and your mother says, no, you got to be a doctor, you have more time and more opportunity to say, yeah, I understand, we need doctors. I also understand that I have a great deal of talent that might not, being a doctor might not allow me to do that. And so there's more area for you to reason rather than online, because most of us don't read those long texts. We read the first sentence. So in person is more empathic. So online and empathy and its deficits. To competently express emotions online, invest effort into perspective taking and empathic concern. I don't do this, so I don't know if it works. If I feel like I cannot express myself in a few words in a text or online, I'll pick up the phone. I'll knock on someone's door. Again, if they're not close, I will ask if this is a good time to call, because that's even better. FaceTime, probably better, because you